on about trees. The enemy is all the Here we go again, Magnus.
Here we go again. Back on the river. And it looks very different than last time.
Yeah, what a contrast.
Looks like something out of Mad Max.
Post-apocalyptic.
So
yes.
we had an event happening, didn't we?
Yeah, we had that bit of a low pressure system come over southeast Queensland and drop some heavy falls, but it just didn't go away. That was the thing. It just kept raining and raining.
Yeah.
I got over 600 mil at my place.
Yeah.
Or maybe 7, I don't know.
And it's one of those 1 in a 100-year events.
Yeah.
That they claim. That seem to be happening now more frequently. And well, it's been lucky for us because we've seen the river sort of pristine. Last time around, there was a good flow, but it wasn't nowhere near as high as it's been now. And now we've seen it after a proper flood event. And I have to say that the devastation is quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's a bit like well, you can see here, it's a bit like a moonscape, I guess a month ago we wouldn't have been sitting right here. There would have been grasses and trees and all this gravel might not have even been here.
Probably not. So the water now is probably 2 meters above your typical summer level, without any significant rains. And last Sunday, exactly a week ago, it topped 12. So it was 10 meters above us here.
Yes.
We're sitting 10 meters underwater, and Wivenhoe filled up. So the whole flood compartment of Wivenhoe filled up, which is about 10 meters elevation as well. Yep. So it would have backed up, it would have been 10 meters all the way up the upper river. And, well, it left behind this devastation. Last time we talked about erosion prevention, and you mentioned the callistemon, the bottle brushes, which came down on the previous flood in 2011, and how they've stabilised the banks. It's obvious that where you have vegetation, the low brush and the higher trees, that it just holds the soil. And when there's none, you just have tremendous erosion.
Yeah, the trees tend to, create low pressure systems. It slows the flow down outside of the main channel of the river. And I think, one tree on its own does nothing, but I think a whole stack of trees working together can help each other hold the bank together with their roots, and they can slow that flow, which reduces that erosion. Gum trees are magnificent, I love them, but when there's only the isolated one or two, we saw some big pockmarks in the riverbank up there where they're trying to hold that flow back on their own, compared to if there was a whole forest, like hundreds of trees along there, that could slow the flow outside the main current, and together they kind of work to hold that riverbank together. But when there's one, so it's not just the gums, I guess we need everything along there, just on that little riparian strip. You need the small, like Lamandra right on the toe of the waterway, then your callistemons and your casuarinas, and then you need your larger trees as well, which includes your gum trees and all the silky oaks that used to be here, and the black bean and the red cedar and all that sort of stuff. Some property owners believe in trying to maintain that riparian strip. Maybe they benefit from it, and other people might think, well, you're full of it. They don't see the value.
I understand it's important. It's valuable grazing land as well.
Yeah, and they got to maximise every square metre they can.
It's an economic decision by the end of the day.
Yeah.
The big problem downstream is obviously that a lot of this sediment ends up ultimately either in Wivenhoe, where it'll gradually silt up Wivenhoe, which is always a problem in dams, or it goes into the mid-river and then downriver and out into the bay way. So if you're going to fix the national park in the bay, you're going to have to stop this from happening. Because this is washing tremendous amounts of silt and sediments down the river.
Yep. Some small things here can make a big difference, you know, but it's got to be a catchment wide thing. Yeah.
Always makes you wonder when this is going to happen again. You know, whenever you hear of a disaster or you've been part of something like this, a natural event, you know, the whole once in 100 year, I don't know if that may be a myth. Maybe that's been, I don't know if that's an actual calculation. But again, it's a probability, not a frequency.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 100 years between them. It could be another one next year and then nothing for 300 years.
Yeah, that's right.
But it makes you wonder when it's going to happen again and what it's going to do to the river and how it will change. You know, are we going to learn from this now and start replanting these banks and get some vegetation up and tie the banks in and get the canopy back and all the things we talked about last time? Or is this just an endless cycle of misery and ruined fences and properties lost and
well, you know, our primary producers are doing it harder and harder, you know, every year. I mean, I don't know where the answer is for them. I think, you know, there needs to be... Well, we've been out through here and I've seen no support in regard to the government, you know, over the coast. I've had family members with water through their houses this week. There's the mud army there, but I'm not seeing anything out here helping the primary producers. You know, this is a real good timestamp. You know, that you're doing this full journey down from the Bunya Mountains to the bay. That's during that process, you've had that flood event, and you kind of get to see the before and after.
We've seen it in drought. We've seen it in flood. Yeah, you're right. River is there. All the way down to mid-river as well.
Yeah, and it's not just here, that's like a kilometre long.
Yeah.
This all one bank.
The whole bank is going in, but there's no trees at all on top.
None. And you can see it's all now falling down into this channel here.
Yeah.
Slumping.
And this flows downstream. It flows to the Moreton. It flows to the Great Barrier Reef. It's not going to last. If it keeps going, the Brisbane River is going to be 100k wide and an inch deep.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Fishers always talk about fish that colour changing. There was that dark water mixing with the browner water in the river, and there's little fish flicking everywhere. Yeah, right. Well, you can see Moreton Bay ash here. A lot of people don't like them, but you know what? They're doing the job of holding the riverbank together right here. And just there's a couple of cedars, a couple of grey gums. So the bank's kind of all held together. And this is on the outside of a bend. You know, this is the outside corner is usually where it gets eroded. So this has held it together quite nicely.
And you can see that it's the river's tried its best
Yeah.
but the roots have held it up. And again, the water would have been 10 metres up here as well, so
Yeah.
quite a lot higher.
You see debris way up in those branches.
Yeah.
And you know, the trees are doing what they're doing their job, interlocking those roots, slowing the flow down through the trees.
And that's good to see. That's a good compare and contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. And just, you know, just back there where there was no trees and we're getting all that bad erosion.
Yeah.
This is quite a sharp bend here too. Normally it's
Yeah.
the sharp bends that really cop a flogging.
It would have been roaring through a week ago.
Yeah.
And the fence is intact on top.
Yeah, so they've excluded the cattle from the water, which that'll help.
That's right.
Mm.
Oh, look at that. That's quite a nice view, isn't it? What have we got?
So that's a fork-tailed catfish,
Oh, yeah.
Neo Arius graphii. So he's I think he's just about done. I think he is done, but anyway, he probably hasn't had a good time in the flood.
No.
We have had kills of these in the mid-Brisbane River. Temperature change kind of triggered a fungal infection in them. Good sized one. They do get a little bit bigger than that, but they're quite they're endemic species to the catchment, and there's lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a tailwind.
It actually had its eyes closed. Looks like he was sleeping.
Probably resting. He'd be losing body temp.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Oh.
He's quite cold, I think.
He'd be losing body temp.
Yeah.
So,
There we go, little buddy.
oh, there's his mate.
Oh, that's the big one.
Right there.
Off you go, buddy.
There he goes, watching.
Ah, beauty.
And away he goes, straight
Yeah.
up the creek.
There we go. That's a few karma points for today. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. Well spotted, Magnus.
All right.
You right?
Yeah.